Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So, we are from Group 7, and in this time, we would like to share about grammatical function. So, before I deliver the materials, I would like to present the members of this group. There are three members. The first is me, Rini Pratiwi. The second is Shina Laely Kamalin, and the last is Alimatul. So each of us will be delivered different materials. The first is about subject, the second is about direct object, and the last is about oblique object and indirect object. So let's get started. The first is introduction. So what is grammatical function? Grammatical function is the synthetic role played by a word or a phrase in the context of a particular clause or sentence. Sometimes grammatical function called as simply function. The grammatical functions are the roles that different constituents, strings of words acting as units, play in clauses. The examples of grammatical function are subject and object. The first is subject. So subject is the clause elements that interacts with the finite verb to express mood. There are three types of subject. The first is grammatical subject, the second is logical subject, and the last is psychological subject. Grammatical subject. Grammatical subject means that which something is predicated. It was called grammatical because at the time the construction of subject and predicate was thought of as purely formal grammatical relationship, or it depends on the structure of a sentence. So there are some criteria of grammatical subject. The first is it always has agreement in number with the verb. The second is it's never being preceded by any preposition in active construction. And the last is occurring in the by phrase in the passive construction. Let's look to the examples. There are two sentences. The first is sentence A. The tigers hunt prey at night. Sentence B. The tigers hunts its prey at night. So in the sentence A, the subject is plural, the tigers. So the verb is without S. The tigers hunt. In the sentence B, the subject is singular, the tiger. So the verb is with S or ES. The tiger hunts. So based on this explanation, the tiger or the tigers is grammatical subject because it always has agreement with the verb, as I mentioned before, and it's never being preceded by any preposition in active construction because both of these sentences are active construction. Next is logical subject. Logical means the door of the action or the agent of the action. It means that in either synthetic construction, it denotes the agent. Its role in the situation doesn't change. So it was called logical because it focuses on relations between things as opposed to grammatical relations, which were relations between the symbols or the structure of a sentence. So the criteria of logical subject is it always be the agent or the door in both active and passive sentences. Let's look to the example. There are two sentences here. The first is the tigers hunt prey at night. The second sentence, prey is hunted by the tigers at night. So the first sentence is active sentence and the second sentence is passive sentence. So in the sentence 1, the tigers hunt prey at night. The tigers refers to the agent or the door of the verb hunt. In the sentence 2, the tigers refers to the agent to, although it's inside the by preposition phrase and at the end of the sentence, but it refers to the door or the agent of the sentence. Next is psychological subject. Psychological subject means that which is the concern of the message. The psychological subject is the starting point of the message. It denotes the entity about which the speaker wishes to say something or the speaker give more importance to in a sentence. So it was called psychological because it was what the speaker had in his mind to start with in a sentence when embarking on the production of the clause. So let's see the example. The sentence, the tigers hunt prey at night. So the tigers here is psychological subject because it denotes the entities about which the speaker wishes to say something. So the second sentence, this prey, tigers hunted. So the psychological subject of this sentence is this prey because the speaker start the point of the message by the word display. So display is become the psychological subject. So that is the discussion about subject. The next material about direct object will be delivered by the next presenters. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shina Kamalin. I will continue the presentation about direct object. So, direct object is a word or phrase that receives the action of the verb. Jadi, direct object adalah kata atau frasa yang menerima tindakan langsung dari kata kerja. In the sentence, the student eat cake. The direct object is cake, the word eat is the verb, and cake is what's being eaten. And the concept of direct object is as widely used as that of subject and has just a long tradition. Nah, untuk menemukan direct object itu say the subject and verb followed by whom or what. Jadi formulanya adalah subject plus action verb plus whom or what. Nah, if nothing answered the question whom or what, maka there is no direct object. Okay, let's move to the example of a direct object. Louis broke the cup, Allison drove the car, Martha chewed the bread. Direct object is never preceded by a preposition. In the sentence, Martha chewed on the bread. Bread is not a direct object, and the entity is not completely affected by the action of chewing. I think enough from me. The next slide will be explained by my friends. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Alimatul Mubarokah. I will continue the presentation, and the last material is oblique and indirect object. So, indirect object is the noun or pronoun that receive the direct object. Jadi, indirect object atau kalimat tak langsung itu adalah benda atau kata ganti yang menerangkan untuk siapa tindakan itu dilakukan. For a sentence to have an indirect object, there should always be a direct object. So it answers the question to whom or for whom the action of the verb is performed. So how to identify the indirect object? We have three ways to identify the indirect object. So the first one is identifying the subject and verb. Kemudian ada identifying the direct object, dan yang terakhir adalah ask question using to whom or for whom the sentence action is performed. Okay, and the next is oblique object. So oblique object is similar in the indirect object, but the difference is that the oblique object occur in a prepositional phrase. Jadi sebenarnya oblique object sama indirect object itu sama, namun perbedaannya ada pada prepositional phrase-nya. Jadi setiap non-phrase yang merupakan pelengkap preposisi disebut oblique object, di mana preposisi frasenya itu sendiri adalah pelengkap dari kata kerja. Di sini di contoh, for example, contoh pertama ada Tatiana wrote to origin. Di sini Tatiana berkedudukan sebagai subjek, wrote berkedudukan menjadi verb, to origin, to ini adalah prepositional phrase. Jadi origin di sini menjadi oblique object. Kemudian contoh yang kedua itu sama, yaitu Martin went to Egilsai. Martin menjadi subjek, went menjadi verb, to Egilsai menjadi oblique object. Kemudian move to the next example adalah Frank bought a piano for Jen. Jadi Frank di sini berperan menjadi subjek, bought menjadi verb, and a piano adalah indirect object. For Jen is oblique object. Oke, kemudian di sini di bawahnya ada contoh lagi. Di sini ada dua kalimat yang mempunyai struktur yang berbeda. Untuk kalimat yang pertama ada Lucy sent a letter to Isadora. Lucy di sini berperan sebagai subjek, kemudian send menjadi verb, a letter to Isadora. A letter menjadi direct objeknya, kemudian to Isadora. Isadora di sini menjadi oblique object. Kemudian contoh yang kedua adalah Lucy sent Isadora a letter. Lucy di sini berperan sebagai subjek, send menjadi verb, Isadora menjadi indirect object, and a letter menjadi direct object. Jadi perbedaan dari kedua kalimat tersebut adalah terdapat pada strukturnya dan prepositional phrase-nya. Di kalimat yang pertama, Lucy sent a letter to Isadora. Di sini ada prepositional phrase yaitu to. Jadi Isadora menjadi oblique object, sedangkan di kalimat yang kedua tidak ada prepositional phrase-nya. Jadi Isadora di sini menjadi indirect object. Seperti itu. Okay, I think enough from our group. Sorry if there is a mistake in explaining, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.